Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo. How are you?
I am good. I got my extremely caffeinated overnight chai,
Overnight shy?
included meaning tea that I left in my teapot and steeped and forgot to finish all of it. And now it's extremely brewed and caffeinated. And I'm going to be wired in about 10 minutes. And
Oh,
I'm looking
Jesus.
forward to it.
I kind of figured that's what you meant. That could be like a new we can market that. Overnight chai.
Overnight tea.
Love that. Overnight tea. Overnighty. Overnighty.
Not cold tea. Not cold tea, which I realize is actually a term for alcohol in Chinese culture. When people come and they say they want cold tea late at night or whatever, it means that they want alcohol.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm like glasses on, glasses off, glasses on, glasses off.
How about half on, half off?
Half off. I'll just do this.
That actually looks good. It frames your eyes. Well, okay, it was framing your eyes really nicely.
Face. Yes. Hello.
Hello. It feels like it's been forever.
It kind of does because I've got my elastic band. Okay.
Asparagus?
Actually, yes.
That's what goes on asparagus. Those blue ones, yeah.
Or broccoli.
Yes.
At the bottom. But it's funny, I was gonna say something else, but then just because I said the elastic band, because I was gonna try to hide it. But have you ever tried the elastic band thing for anxiety?
Where you
Yeah.
I've heard of it, yeah, but I've never had to do it though. But yes, I've seen people do it.
You know what it's mostly for? So I think it's mostly for OCD.
Uh-huh.
OCD thoughts. And to be quite transparent, I'm trying it today because I'm having one of those days where I can't stop thinking about a particular thing, a symptom. It's okay. I'm sure a lot of people can actually agree with me when they say, when you have a bruise or something like that on your body, and then you're like, you just keep touching it to see if it's still, or something in your mouth that hurts or whatever.
Yes.
Your mother or your partner or your doctor might be like, well, just stop touching it then.
Yes.
Those moments or one of those days where, so I'm just, if you see me during our interview going like this, don't count how many times I do it.
Oh, we will. Sorry.
Post-production podcast episode, Rachel's OCD counter.
Right. Oh, so funny. But I'm sorry that you're having one of those mornings. I had a moment like that last night, actually, over an email. And then I was like, no. And then I turned to my boyfriend, Sydney, and I just said, I'm okay, right? He says, you're fine. You're fine.
Well, yeah, it's just like, it's interesting how our minds, well, that's great that you're able to kind of nip it quickly.
Relatively, yeah. I'm fine with it now.
Yeah, that's good. And so that's what's interesting between you and I. It's very how they manifest. So for me, it's health anxiety manifestations, usually of OCD behavior. So if I'm really stressed about something, I'm starting to pick up on little symptoms or sensations in my body, and then I literally can't stop either touching a bump or something, which is what I'm doing right now, even though that bump is pretty much flattened and is almost gone, but I'm still like constantly checking to see if it's still there and that it's still going away. It's all really to do with control.
Yeah.
Control.
Is
that a song?
Yeah.
A song.
Yeah, Janet. I think it's a Janet Jackson song.
Anyway, so that's I'm just ignoring what you're saying. That's my story behind my blue band today.
It's a beautiful cornflower blue, so rock it out, girl.
I'm hiding it amongst the black. But I'm pretty good otherwise. Just, that's just like a semi-normal thing for Rachel, but working pretty hard with my job that makes me money.
Yeah, it's good. And you're making a good amount of money, which is awesome.
Well, we'll see. I don't put in like crazy long days, but anyway, it's good. And we do have a guest. And I was going to say, I think the reason why it seems, I've had caffeine and yours hasn't kicked in yet. So I'm talking a million miles a minute. Does that even make any sense?
Yes, it does. Yes.
And yours will kick in soon, and then I will crash and we'll we'll switch places.
We'll just do like a little energetic, just like
yeah, we'll exchange.
Yeah, exactly.
But last week we only had, for the first time in a little while, we only had one guest and one episode that we uploaded. And this week we have another 2. So it does feel like I haven't seen you in a while because there was only one last week.
Yes, that's correct. And then you kind of think, oh my God, like after Wednesday, you think like, oh my God, okay, all right, I've got my fill. And then it gets to Friday, like, it's been so long.
So, you know, is someone that Hero knows that's coming on. And speaking of, you know, being I mean, when you think of someone who is a yoga teacher, what do you think of when it comes to nutrition or things they drink? What comes to mind, Hero?
Tea.
Who do we have on the show? Are you joking?
Yes.
Oh no, sometimes pretty good at you know, getting what we're insinuating, but then other times we're really bad at it. So
I know. So the person we have on the show today is not a yoga teacher, so that is different.
Yes.
She is a yogi in terms of, that's how I met her. It was through the formerly known Chopra Yoga Center on Granville Street in Vancouver, which is now no longer. And it was someone that I taught for a couple years. And so her name is Kristin Zerbin, and Kristin Zerbin is a wonderful specimen of a human being, very humble and down to earth. And in my opinion, doesn't give her, from my experience of knowing her, has never ever given herself the credit she deserves to have as a human being for all the intelligence and brightness that I've witnessed, at least in my time of being around her, that she really gives. Yeah. So she doesn't give herself the credit for what she's done and how she's contributed to society. And in the time that I was connecting with her quite a few years back now, she actually was the operator of a small raw food business called Rockin'. And then I'm guessing she stopped doing that and instead had focused on doing kombucha making workshops. And then that turned into her kind of testing her own batches of kombucha called Hoochy Booch.
Love it. Yeah.
And so she and her partner Liam went into business together to start creating these really awesome small batches, and it is now expanded across the province for sure. And I'm curious to know where else it's located, because I'm sure it's got different accounts in different areas that you and me would not know of already.
No.
But it's really expanded into being on tap in a lot of vegan and healthy oriented restaurants, which is how a lot of people hear about it. It's also in commissaries and grocery stores of certain kinds, definitely local small batch to kind of independent grocery stores. I don't know about more corporate or franchise, but I would assume so. So I haven't done a ton of research on Hoochy Booch in terms of like the history of it, because I want it to be a bit of a surprise, but just witnessing it as a consumer and someone that knows the creator of this brand and the beverages and me supporting it from early days, it's a kombucha that really is, in my opinion, for people that are not fond of kombucha, I think it's the best kombucha to try because it doesn't have a ton of carbonation. And it's also not overly sweet. And it's used with handcrafted raw cultures, green teas, and also just real like fresh ingredients. So it doesn't feel like a juice, but it also doesn't feel like a soft soda or like a carbonated tea. Like it kind of has a fusion of what those things are either too much or too little of. And she found a way to put them together to be the right balance, the right formula. And
you kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit as to what kombucha is, because there's still a lot of people out there that don't know what kombucha is. And it's funny because I was thinking when you're saying like they're the ones to try if you haven't tried it, it's like they're like the gateway. They're the gateway kombucha, like the gateway drug. They're the good, but in a good way.
In a good way, because that connotation has a negative connotation, and that's not it at all.
No, they're and, just to open up about what kombucha is, I mean, actually, we'll get her to maybe discuss that in her own words, because a lot of people, and it's kind of synonymous with being a bit hippie, like it was for a long time. So there was a bit of, I think, a stigma surrounding kombucha, because I still know of, if I say the word kombucha in even specifically more smaller towns or places where they're not really used to what it is, although now it's becoming way more widespread, they might be like, oh, kombucha, you mean like that hippie drink? Or like, what is that, or what is that, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So now what I did research about Kristin, I always do this with Kristin.
It's not Kirsten or Kirsten, it's Kristin. Yeah.
Thank you, Kristin. And there's Kristin.
Aww, there she is. Oh, gorgeous as ever.
Photo.
What's up?
Hey, girl. How are you?
Oh my God.
It's so nice to see you.
You too. Big hug.
Big hugs as well, girlfriend. Tell me everything. What's up? We were just introducing you a little bit.
Okay, did I just jam my head right in there?
That's how we do it. Oh, Kristin, how could you even say that to a gay man?
Oops.
Spilling the tea already. I love it.
All over. Oh my God, you guys. I feel like when we booked this, when was that, in December, January?
Sure, insert month here.
Yeah, I always feel like it's so funny to plan things really far out. I always do this inner check-in of who am I going to be there? What's going to be happening in my life? You know, I went, what's that?
Absolutely. And not only that, even when we're going to release the episode, we have guests who are like, well, when are you going to release it? Because what we talk about now might not be relevant for when it's released. But I'll have you know, we do release it quite quickly. So whatever you talk about now will be I'm talking in a moment. So it'll be very current.
Nice. Hi, Rachel, by the way.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Lots is happening at Hoochy Booch. I feel like for 2020, we were just kind of coasting, and I don't know if we call it coasting. We were scrambling and figuring it out. And then in the last week, we've had some really epic news come out. So one of them is we are brewing in a teeny tiny 400 square foot space currently, and we are moving. So we're moving into our own space. It's 2,200 square feet. We're going to have our own thing. So it's very exciting.
From 400 and something square feet to 2,200, that's enormous. Right. Meaning that's the freedom I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, this is a big thing, right? In being in your own, being in a shared space. It's great. You can really test your product, and you can, bring it to market, and you don't have a whole lot of debt you need to go in to build a space. But we've been kind of just closeted for quite a while because we can't really grow either in that space. We've been able to make it work to the size of our company today. But it's
absolutely.
Yeah, the Booch is coming out.
It's going to be slinging.
Yes, amazing. And so you might not be able to share this publicly, so you can always just that's coming. But is it just going to be a behind the scenes manufacturing setup, or is it also going to be a cafe or a publicly facing commissary of sorts as well?
Oh my God, I would love a cafe. That when early Hoochy Booch years, that was the dream. Okay. This space will not have that, but I think it will have some sort of you can pop in and fill up a growler. We'll have a little bar set up, but nothing where you would really sit. But got it. Okay. I mean, maybe you would. But we're in a really neat location where, for one, we're literally moving across the street from our current spot. It's so good. We can literally wheel stuff over.
Yes.
Perfect. And then we're also next door to Glory Juice, Beta 5, to Live For Bakery.
Oh my God.
Craft, it just keeps going. So we're just going to have some epic parties, I hope.
So wait, is this kind of near Olympic Village area kind of then?
Yeah, you got it.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. I live so close to there. I'll have to come pop by and say hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm Rachel too when she's in Vancouver.
Where are you, Rachel?
I am in Vernon.
Okay. You're not too far.
Well, that's 5 hours. I'll just pop by for the evening, grab my booch.
Over for some booch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, basically the way that we like to kind of go in our podcast is very unscripted, candid, just as if we're in our living rooms and just chatting, just very simple and easy. So no script, no format. But what I find we end up doing is kind of getting to know the guests that we have and how they are doing in the moment right now and kind of what they're up to. And then kind of take it back to the beginning of them, even before they got into what they're doing, and then putting that together and meeting in the middle, and then to what's coming up after. I find we've kind of ended up in that kind of format, which is kind of nice because it kind of lets people know, oh yeah, who's this person what they're talking to? That's cool. They're doing this now. And it lets them kind of get an inquiry to now and then and then in between and then what's after. So I think
very cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, on this little journey.
Totally. And also, I mean, it's what we've also been doing is we'll kind of introduce you prior to you hopping on, which we did. And then kind of get you to introduce yourself, which is always sometimes a little different because and that's why we have you on, obviously, to learn more about you. But our introduction might not be totally exactly what you might say. So with that being said, we did kind of introduce you, but in your own words, Kristin, how would you introduce yourself? I know you said there's a lot going on, but Kristin today, not 2 months ago when we first talked about this, but how would you introduce yourself today?
Oh my God. I would say that I've grown a lot in the last, growth is progressive, right? You just it's always ongoing. And then you can kind of look back at yourself and be like, yeah, okay, I would have done things differently before. And now I'm doing things better. And oh my God, I am consistently freaking out right now. And oh my God, can we do this? And then I have this beautiful little just find your center, just come back, do what's right in front of you. Where before I would just tangent and rant and kind of live in that anxiety. So I'm still feeling very oh my God, but it's a bit funny in a way now. I can kind of laugh at myself and be well, this is life, and like I was saying earlier with the kind of stagnation of Hoochy Booch last year with COVID and kind of just given the space that we were in as well, we have been asking for this type of growth for a while, and then it comes to our door and we're whoa, wait. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're never ready, right? We couldn't have asked for a better spot at a better time. So the stars aligned. However, we were still oh my God, should we do it? Should we move? Should we take this? And so I just want to put that out there. It doesn't always seem easy making these big changes in our life,
No.
Yeah. What else would I say about me? I'm really creative. I love to create, and mostly things that are food or drink related. Duh. And if I could do just one thing for, I don't know if I'd say forever, because I'm also an Aries and kind of always like to change things up, but I would love to be just someone who does R&D on new products. That would be so fun for me.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe just I've had a few companies reach out to me. I must be putting that into the ether of hey, we want to design this new product line. We do this. We want to turn it into a RTD, a ready to drink.
Yep.
Can you help us? And I'm yeah, let's give it a go. So I just love to create. So it's interesting to be in a company for 6 years now and create-ish. But if I could do one thing, I would just be making thousands of flavors of booch, I guess.
So with that being said, with your kombucha now, and we had to kind of, prior to this episode, we were just talking about, or something that I always notice about kombucha is that there still are people that are what is kombucha? Or people that have not tried it or scared of it, or that there's still a stigma surrounding it that I was saying to Hero, that it's this hippie juice. Or it's oh, my mom used to make that, or my grandma used to make that in her kitchen, and there was it's some weird mother and this weird shit that goes into it, and So have you noticed that for yourself, having the company, that's still something you have to educate people on, or is it? Because there is. Okay.
Yeah, it's not nearly as much. We kind of came up in the up and up of kombucha, so it was every other person didn't know what kombucha was.
Yeah.
Now I feel like what's kind of happening now that kombucha feels a little bit more established, it's like deciphering the difference between kombuchas. You know, there is your more like grassroots, hippie-ish, like it's kind of like, it tastes like really medicinal. Maybe it's not super carbonated, or it's kind of like all over the place. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And then you've got like your GTs who's like, like how many SKUs does that guy have? Like a lot. Like, talk about creative. Yeah. And I find he has a really good mix of like super medicinal and then like super fruit juicy. So you can kind of find anything in between. And then I like to think of Hoochy Booch as like more in the modern, you know, tastes good every time you drink it. Like we call it like the champagne of kombucha. And we want it to be fun. You know, we picked the name Hoochy Booch because we didn't want to be associated with hippies drinking weird mothers.
Yes.
Even though that's kind of what I am at heart. I want it to be more obtainable or accessible to the average Joe.
So can you explain what it is to the average Joe? Just because I feel like there might be some people on our podcast that aren't familiar with kombucha. So what is, when I say mother, like what is that? If you don't mind, I know you're.
No, let's do it. Yeah. So kombucha is a fermented tea. It's typically a caffeinated tea of some sort, generally black or green. And then it's a sugar, whether you use organic or not. At Hoochy Booch, we use green tea and we use organic cane sugar. And then this mother, aka SCOBY. So SCOBY is actually an acronym. It stands for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. So some people call it a Scooby and spell it differently. I'm like, no, I get it, but no. There's a purpose to this name. Somebody just didn't like create this name. And what this SCOBY or mother does is takes the caffeine and the sugar from these substrates and creates them digests them, ferments them into this probiotic beverage. So if you were to take away the caffeine or the sugar, it's kind of, I always like to refer to as it like, you're like killing your house plant if you're like not watering it the proper way, right?
Right.
So like all of these things come together and they digest and transform and then turn them into a delicious fizzy beverage.
Love it. And I've never actually heard the acronym. I didn't know that about SCOBY.
I don't think many people know that. So there you go.
Yeah. And because of gut health and all those things, I did read a little bit as to how you came. Well, we kind of bounce around a lot, but now that you've discussed what it is and the properties of it and how it is a probiotic, how did you come to it? Because I feel like maybe there was some health benefits that you saw from it yourself, and that's how.
For sure.
I'm guessing, but I kind of read.
It's pretty much mainstream that people know that, and I think if you find any info on us, but I mean, so I was working at Chopra Yoga. That's where I met Hero, and I was just feeling sick and tired like all the time, super bloated. I had recently come back from traveling. I mean, at that point. Right now, it's not recently. At that point, it had been. And I'd gone to the doctors and been like, look, every time I eat, I just feel off. And they're like, well, they ran all these tests and they were like, we can't find anything wrong with you. So this is like circa 2011. And I didn't even think to go to a naturopath at the time. I don't even know if that was really like much of a thing then. I don't know. But I didn't think. I went to my GP and they were like, we did these tests. We can't find anything wrong with you. Here's some antidepressants. And I'm like,
sorry. Okay. Yep. Continue.
Yeah. That was kind of my reaction to it. I'm like, I mean, maybe, but like, I'm not thinking that that's the solution. So I walked out feeling pretty disheartened because, I was kind of the person where I like never went to the doctor. So if I went, like I better get some freaking help. Yeah. And they were just kind of like, you're on your own. And I'm like, or take these pills. And I'm like, no, there's no way I'm going to use this as my plan A. Mm-hmm. So what was I doing? I was working as a makeup artist and I was like stressed out. I hated sales. So then I went to Chopra Yoga, worked the front desk, which I loved. It was such a chill job. So I changed my lifestyle, changed my eating. And things were like starting to feel better, but it wasn't until I found kombucha that like kind of all of those came together, and I was like, there's like some synergy here. It was like a kismet experience. Like that was the missing puzzle. Mm-hmm. Like I never thought ever that I would be an entrepreneur. I just was kind of in that place in my life where I'm like, I wonder what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like, cause I kept, like I was going to all these like kind of like part-timey jobs and couldn't really commit to anything. Mm-hmm. And so I found kombucha, and then I was working at a yoga studio. So not making a ton of money and buying like 3 a day, which was like a lot of money. And I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty like DIY. I had a bit of like a raw food side hustle at the time, which was not good for my digestion, by the way. I just thought this would be really good for me, but it wasn't. Anyway, sidebar. But I started brewing my own and bringing it into the studio and like having people try it and like give me feedback. And then they were like, hey, I really noticed that you are now, like your energy is different. You have a bit more energy, especially after lunch, because typically I come home and be like, oh my God, come back after my lunch break and just be exhausted. Like there was just something that was happening. So they asked me like, hey, can you teach us how to brew kombucha? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I put on this cute little workshop. We went to one of the yoga instructors' house and like we drank wine and it was fun and like it was great. And then that kind of experience just kept happening. So people wanting to learn how to make kombucha, they wanted to learn about the gut health properties of it. Like, okay, why am I drinking this drink? And then what happened was people were coming back after the workshop and being like, okay, look, you hooked me on gut health. Like, yeah, I feel the difference, but I don't have the time, space, energy. Yours tastes better. To like, can I just buy kombucha from you?
Oh.
That's kind of the story there. And then Liam and I were, well, me really, but he was helping. God, I'm trying to think how many liters we are actually brewing in this house. Like, it was a lot. Like we only have one pantry, but it was all kombucha. Our food. Who knows? And we just kept doing that until the momentum kept growing and kept growing. And then eventually I'm like, okay, maybe there's a business here. And then took us to another level. Yeah.
Okay. So how much kombucha do you drink a day?
It varies. I'm more of a booch in the evening kind of gal.
Okay.
3 other drinks in front of me right now. My green juice, my lemon water. Tea. Let's see. I probably drink like a bottle a day.
Awesome.
Like 750 milliliters or?
No, like probably like 3. Our bottles are 375. Okay. So I mean, that's probably a minimum.
Yep.
I mean, there are definitely times in my life where I drink way more than that, like liters sometimes, just because like that's kind of what happens. And Liam and I put gin in our booch sometimes at home.
Yes.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we definitely drink more when we do that.
My God, you could do like a Booch After Dark series.
Ooh, that would be good. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a kegerator here. So that is literally Booch on tap.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh my God, I want that in my house.
You feel really badass pouring something off a tap.
Yeah.
And Hero, go ahead. I have so many questions, but I feel like I've been jumping in so much.
No, it's good. That's what we do, though. That's what we do. We let our trains of thoughts go and we don't interrupt each other. That's how we get candid conversation.
Yeah.
But no, you know what, though? What's great about, first of all, I didn't know that's how you started the process. Because when you started the process, you had already kind of done the conceptualization. You already had like the initial bottles and stuff. Like I remember when you were bringing it in. And that's probably when I came in to teach, because you probably started doing it before I even came into the picture. And then you were already kind of along the way and still doing Rockin as well. You were kind of phasing out of it. So then I remember asking about that. And then what's great, though, is to see the connection of your product. Because whenever I see it everywhere, at meat or at grocery stores or whatever, if I'm besides, I'm like, that's my friend's company. Go support her, or like if I'm sitting at meet or whatever else and it says Hoochy Booch with her, like, oh, support my friend, right? And so it's so cool as someone that is seeing your growth indirectly. It's cool to see that, you can do something and you can be successful, at least in terms of reaching into different populations. I don't know what's going on the business end, but in terms of the reach to the consumer base and to see someone's development, that's really cool. Like to see that someone's doing that, and that it's people know what your brand is. Like to say, do you know Hoochy Booch? Or to say, yeah, that's what I drink. That's when you know that you made an impact on people, and that's really freaking cool.
Thank you. Yeah. We live, well, not live, but we operate like, our circle community knows who we are, but yeah, it's kind of hard to tell like what type of impact we are making. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. Even like, and I know, Lake, and Lake is one of my best friends. We hang out every week, and he was here last night, and he comes back and he comes over with a bottle of Hoochy Booch. It's on my sink right now. I'm like, Kristin, we're talking tomorrow. Right. And so that's how the word of mouth kind of brand starts. So, I think what would be kind of cool, though, people can look on the website and look at the Instagram and stuff as well, is kind of what were the first kind of flavors you came out with? I mean, I know what they were, but what were the first flavors you came out with? What were some things that are your best sellers? What are some flavors you tested that maybe didn't really work out, but you might want to try launching in the future? Kind of like, because you said you love flavor consulting and like brewing and stuff. How did that all begin for you in terms of, I'm going to have a Booch brand, I'm going to have 3 flavors and start out like, this is what I'm going to do. And talk about that. I'm really curious to know your process.
It was such a process. I'll say that so kind of right away, it wasn't, so I've probably been brewing for about probably like a year, give or take. And I was flavoring most of my kombuchas with fruit juice. I had a little juicer at home and I was juicing and then like adding the juice to my kombucha. Every time I added it, it would like super foam. And I'm like, how do these big companies do this? I would like pour it in. I had to be like scooping off all this like juice foam. I'm like, what the heck is happening? So that was like process number 1. It was weird. And I was like, this isn't working. And then like, okay, what will work, because I wanted to use like a live product. I didn't just want to go and grab like apple juice off the grocery store counter. I wanted to do it myself. Yep. So then at the same time, Liam's stepdad is diabetic, and we were trying to see if he felt better when drinking kombucha. And what we noticed is that he could drink my kombucha, but he couldn't drink the store-bought stuff because of all the added fruit juice. Because I was only adding like a small amount because I kept like tossing it out with all that freaking foam. Right. So it got me thinking, I'm like, okay, what tastes good but doesn't have any extra sugar? And I was like, tea, like tea does. So that was when my whole like world opened up. I was like going to Safeway and buying all these like crazy teas and like having so much fun. And like the ratio of that, like, okay, how many tea bags do I need? How long do I need to steep it for? Like, that's our secret sauce. Like, people want to know what we do. And and like so many, I don't even want to say failures, but like a lot of booches that came out like not tasting like anything, or I think that was mostly like the ones that didn't work. Like you're just like, oh, I needed to really add like 10 times that amount or whatever. Yeah. One of my favorite flavors that we haven't yet created because I haven't been able to find a tea for it that's organic, because now we're all organic, is a black cherry tea.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my God. There's this company. It's the one that comes in the little box and they make that like Bengal spice or whatever.
Okay. Celestial seasons. Something like that. Yeah.
Teas on. Yeah, there you go. So they make a black cherry that was so good, but it's not organic and whatever. But some of our very first flavors that we ended up bringing into Hoochy Booch, like our very first one was our Bellini. And that one has probably gone through like over 10, if not 10 plus renditions, because we like the very first one was like an unorganic tea and it just had such a great flavor. And then trying to find an organic tea that has obviously like high quality, actually natural flavor. It's a big challenge sometimes because, a lot of companies, there's a big stigma around natural flavor, and I get it because a lot of things can say natural flavor and be like weird natural.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going on a weird tangent here.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
We have to well, we don't have to. I choose to vet every single company and every single flavor that comes in just for that very particular reason. Like, we are a vegan company. We want to make sure that this natural flavor didn't come from like some sort of like cow hoof or whatever.
Right.
Oh, it's natural. I'm like, no, that's weird. Let's not do that. So I get this like huge stacks of paper and I read through how they got this flavor and where it comes from. So anyways, with the Bellini, it was hard to find. So Bellini is peach, orange, and apricot. So we actually blend 3 different teas.
Wow.
And we also use doTERRA essential oils in that one as well.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's like, yeah, it's gone through a lot of changes, and now it's one of our most popular. It's our top 3 for sure.
Yeah.
If you've heard of our Lady Grey, that was our second flavor, and that one just has its like own life of its own. Lady Grey is an Earl Grey, lavender, and vanilla, and kind of like a creamy, desserty kombucha, which you don't really find out there, right? No. Like, people are like, when they think of kombucha, it's like ginger or fruity. So this like this like really cool creamy experience from the vanilla. And yeah, people love it. You put some ice cream in there and make a kombucha float. Like, yeah.
My God. I know what I'm getting for my boyfriend tonight.
It's crazy how so my husband's family is Italian, and they had imported their own olive oil from Italy. And the reason why I'm saying this is because packaging and just, what things you're allowed to say or things you're not allowed to say, or things like you said, natural or organic, or, but people say natural, but maybe it's not actually natural. They can get away with certain things. I think a lot of the public and consumers still don't really know that, and they're not educated to know or to decipher between like a pure product and not a pure product. And it sounds to me like you really care about that, which is amazing. And I feel like it should be like that, but it's not always like that for everybody. So with that being, like, I don't even know what my question would be necessarily, but it's more just a comment, I guess, on
definitely speak to that, because this is like such a frustrating point sometimes for someone like myself and a lot of the kombucha companies out there that are more like local or small craft, where like the big guys can come in and just like say anything, and because it's not really regulated, they can get away with it. And
exactly,
like, there's something out on the market now, and we don't know who's doing it, but where you can buy something like a concentrated vinegar kombucha.
Okay.
You buy this concentrate, and then they tell you to add it to a fermenter or a keg or whatever, and then you add your sweet tea, and then you put it in, you let it sit overnight so it does a one thing, and then you put it in the fridge, and then you flavor and carbonate it and bottle it. Like, it's not fermenting.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have the concentrate, but it's not kombucha, because part of kombucha is this, like, if not, like, our kombucha ferments for 21 plus days, 3 weeks. So some only do 1 week, some do 2, but we really have found that 3 weeks is our sweet spot. And other people, they're just like, oh, you're better margins. And I mean, it breaks my heart, because so many people are buying these kombuchas thinking it's kombucha, and it's not.
Well, because people don't, like, for myself, I don't just do it for the flavor. Like, I love the flavors, but I do it for the beneficial properties, the medicinal properties of this. So, with that being said, like, what do people? I mean, obviously your product, but what do people look for to get like the real deal? Or like you were saying, even with was it your father or father-in-law that's diabetic?
Yeah.
Right. Like, how do you? And then I was just kind of reading, like, how much is too much kombucha? Can it do damage to your system? I got a lot of questions about the health factor of it, because I think,
and very good, because kombucha is a health drink, so you want to make sure that you're doing it right. I would say in regards to how do you know, I mean, I'm part of a organization called Kombucha Brewers International, where we're actually working on a seal for that. Hopefully it won't cost $1 trillion, and we can all, afford to put it on there. So you'll know this has been fermented for more than 1 week, kombucha. But in the meantime, I'd say support local. I feel like most of the little guys are doing it the authentic way, the traditional way.
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah.
GT's, I have a good feeling he's still doing it right, but I also don't know. He's kind of like the Willy Wonka of kombucha. Like, we have no idea what he's doing. He still says he brews in little jars. I'm like, really? You're like across the world. How are you doing that?
And I will drink his sometimes because he's everywhere too.
Yeah, everywhere. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're still doing yourself a service if you're drinking that. That would be my honest opinion. I don't want to like throw anyone under the bus, but I just feel like the local guys, I know what they're doing, and I really don't actually know what they're doing.
No, but you're right though. And in terms of like, I've tried other kombucha brands, and it doesn't compare to Hoochy Booch in the sense that it just doesn't taste the same. It doesn't have the same taste, and that's when you know a brand is doing something that's specific, is when they have their own taste, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, it's what you're tasting and how it's hitting your palate and how it's affecting you after you've drank it. Yeah. And I find a lot of kombuchas I'll drink and it's pleasurable, but it's not something that I drink and think this makes me feel connected to this brand and I can't wait to drink this brand of kombucha again. You drink Hoochy Booch, you know that you are investing and you're getting the experience you know you're going to get if you have it every time. You've created that consistency, which I think is really rare to find in thing that can be very, very a lot of variety. Like I think kombucha can be very hit and miss with people, right?
Sure. Yeah. $5, you get a dud. You're like, damn it.
Yep. Yeah.
So true. And you are a fierce, powerful, inspirational woman, which I know yesterday was International Women's Day, and it's just so cool. We get to have all these amazing entrepreneurial women as well, and just, you know, done so much to bring your brand to light. And it just sounds like you're kind of been the backbone of your whole company, which is pretty spectacular. Do you sell it up in the Okanagan?
We are only in one store in Kelowna. She's called Chickpea Zero Waste, and she's like, a zero waste store. Our products sold on tap, and a few bottles are there as well.
I want to make sure. I know I've tried it in Vancouver and I loved it because I went to meet with Hero and I'm sure I had it there, but I just wanted to, before I forget to ask that question.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully now that we have our space and we can expand, this will be, you know, that's the plan, is to expand within BC, you know, go to the island, the interior. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah, no, that's right. Because I know that Rachel was asking before he came on, like, where can we buy your product, right? And I said, I think it's only in British Columbia, as far as I know, right? It's in other parts of Canada or North America at the moment?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like, you know, we didn't grow at all last year. We have our business model pre-COVID was cafes and restaurants. Like we thought, you know, grocery stores have got enough kombucha right now. Let's go into this market. Well, bam, hello COVID. So we went from being in like 100 stores to like hardly any. And that was scary. We switched to home delivery. So within Vancouver, we now deliver every Friday and Saturday. Fridays is Vancouver and North Van. Saturday is everywhere else as far as Langley.
Okay. Wow.
That's been going well, actually. I think with COVID, you know, more people are enjoying the like ordering and delivering to their door, right?
Well, it's funny because when I saw the tap in your house.
Yeah.
Interesting how kombucha did go from, you know, in the bottle to like seeing it on tap everywhere. And that was and still is a trend. But yes, like going from restaurants, I mean, that was my question about how COVID has changed your business plan and what things have happened or what has happened with something like kombucha. So, and I want to know what is the difference between having it on tap? Does it change the product to having it in a bottle? Or do you have to change how?
Yeah, no, I mean, COVID really impacted our company because we were so food service based, and like, thank God we came out with bottles, but I'm really big on like zero waste and as little waste as possible. So I didn't really want to do a grab and go bottle, but the market just wasn't ready for all kombucha on tap. But about half of our business was kombucha on tap. So we lost all that. I mean, I don't know if we lost it forever because some things are starting to come back now. But yeah, there was a time where, we have so many kegs in our brewery right now because they're not out. But I think things, people are starting to order on tap again, so that's good. And then, I forget your other question.
The difference.
Oh, right. I honestly feel like on tap just seems fresher to me. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know if that's just because it's me and my palate, but I mean, no, there's nothing different. Like we basically bottle from our kegs into a bottle, so they're the same.
Yeah, for sure. But also, I think it's going to pick up a lot for you, even if the restrictions for COVID stay the way they are until, spring of next year. I think, honestly, realistically, things are not really going to develop and progress until spring of next year. And then summer, like really, really a lot. Right. But I think because of the weather changing in Vancouver, at least, I think a lot of patio seasons, a lot of people in the idea of having something fresh and fruity or something that's fresh and not super indulgent, but still a treat. I think a lot of people are going to be in the idea, I want to get something on tap, but I don't want beer. I don't want wine. Like I want something special. So I think you'll get a lot of people contacting you to refill on tap services at these restaurants that have to now survive really on outdoor seating, especially with COVID, right? They increase their capacity or balance what they can't seat inside, they now have outside.
And I just realized there is such a thing as I've seen like kombucha flavored beer. Is it beer or something? I've seen that before, like where they've combined the two. Have you seen market?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge one. I think it's just kind of something that would happen at a brewery, but I think they're called palomas or something, where typically a paloma is like beer and grapefruit juice.
Yes.
And so grapefruit juice, you'd have kombucha. Yeah.
I also wonder if there'd be a market for like a small, I don't know, personal in your home kind of keg style tap or something. I would do that.
Oh my God, it's the best. And you just think like, how many bottles of Booch, at least like even when we were filling up our growlers, we would like fill up our growlers, bring them home, put them in our fridge, and we'd have to go back, wash them. I'm like, why not get this one keg?
Yeah.
A couple weeks, and then we just have to wash that. And we're not even anything, right? So
yes, for sure. And then kind of tying it back for a second in terms of the brand. Have people asked you to do kombucha workshops over Zoom, like through COVID? Like, has that been something that people have asked you about?
No, actually. I think Larry's Market back, this was like early COVID when people were like, what the heck is happening? The world ending? I think he talked about doing kind of a collab with a workshop. I think now that's kind of the norm now. I think revisiting that might be a good thing, but where I could like mail you your kit and then do a workshop online.
Yeah. That'd be kind of cool, especially like for couples. Like I know that my dad and stepmother they couldn't do a Christmas party. So what they did is that the company shipped out from the Dirty Apron. They contracted the Dirty Apron in Crosstown. They sent out all the ingredients to the couple's homes, and then they all tuned in by Zoom. And then the culinary facilitator facilitated the process of making the food and eating it together and having the social interaction, which was kind of neat. And my dad, who is more conservative in some ways and not the most social in terms of that kind of way, in my perspective, at least, I could be totally wrong, he really enjoyed it. So it made me think, okay, with anything you could do that. And then it's a good stream of revenue, even if it might be, one a month, but it's a cool service to build community and awareness without needing it to be in Vancouver, but it could be somewhere, I don't know, you have someone in Yellowknife or someone in, Iqaluit, and and then you're hosting it from Vancouver. It could be kind of neat.
Yeah, that is kind of neat. Thanks for the...
I've seen that. Which is great. Like we had somebody on our show that makes challah, so Jewish braided bread. And so he was also doing, classes via Zoom for people, which was really cool that he couldn't see in person. Question back to the probiotic value benefit of kombucha. Is it a replacement or could it be a replacement for probiotic capsules? Like what's I again, with kombucha, I'm just, again, so interested about the medicinal properties of it, but do you still take, I know you're not a doctor. We'll have this conversation, but...
Dr. Kristin coming at you. No, I'm not a doctor.
But just from your experience and research, I'm sure you've done lots of research and your own
Yeah,
taking.
For sure. I mean, the claimer is like every body is different. So I'll start with that. I find for me, the only time I've taken a probiotic is after I've had to take an antibiotic. So when my gut is really depleted, I mean, the thing with antibiotics from what I've read about them is like, if you think of your gut as this like microbiome, this like forest of lavish everything, and basically a probiotic comes in and like burns it all to the ground. So you have nothing left in your gut that's...
And an antibiotic, not probiotic.
Antibiotic. Sorry, did I say probiotic?
Yes. That's okay.
Antibiotic. So you take an antibiotic and it just like squashes all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then you really need help to get those back up, right? So I would, take a probiotic and also drink kombucha. I have a girlfriend, and actually I kind of find it with, if I take too many probiotics, my like gut kind of bubbles. And, you know, I'm trying to also make, I also make coconut yogurt, like fermented coconut yogurt at my house. And but sometimes it's like too much. So there's definitely an overdoing of anything that's good, right? Mm-hmm. You had asked earlier about like how much kombucha should I drink and how much is too much. And, you know, for my dose might be a glass a day, but like early on, like when I wasn't drinking, like when I was first starting to drink kombucha, I was drinking probably like a liter a day, and I felt great on that. But that's probably way too much for most people, right? Mm-hmm. So I always say, trust your gut. You know, that is our tagline. Yeah. And Kira was talking about, and I think both of you were saying about how when you drink something, like the purpose is to like recognize the reaction in your body, not just to like consume it and go, but like tune in and say like, is this benefiting me? Is this helpful? Yeah. And then if you're like, oh, that was too much, or I shouldn't have ate those chili fries or whatever, you know, there's some sovereignty in choosing what you want in your body.
Mm-hmm. People don't do that though. That's great advice. Like tuning in, being, you know, aware, mindful of not just in the moment, but what you're ingesting. I mean, that's like I'm hoping that maybe with COVID, because people having to slow down, they're not on the go as much. And just because I was one of those people on the road for sales, I was like, you know, eating in my car, grabbing whatever I could to go and just literally just shoving it in my mouth for sustenance, not even tasting my food. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's huge. Huge.
Yeah. It's such a skill too, right? Like I feel like if someone's like never done this before, I'd say like the best thing they can do is like right after they've eaten, like 5 minutes after, just kind of like sit for a sec. You don't have to meditate. It doesn't have to be anything woo-woo. Just be like, how does this actually feel? Do I feel more energized? Do I feel depleted? You know, it doesn't have to be anything big. And then, you know, don't want to berate yourself. Don't want to be like, oh, I shouldn't have ate that. It's just like, okay, this is data. This is good data for me. I can choose next time. Whereas if we're just running around eating things and we're not tuning in after, we don't know what's really affecting our body in a positive or negative way.
Yeah, it's very true. I love that. What I'm wondering about is as well, because we've gotten a good idea of the brand and how it's come to be where it is. Whatever you're comfortable sharing about, what was your life as a kid? Like, where did you grow up, and how did that all translate into your understanding of health and wellness, and how that? Because I mean, everything starts from the beginning somewhere. So I'm curious to know about, like, you know, where did that all start?
Oh my God, we're going way back.
We're going way back, yeah.
So, happy-ish kid, you know, I was really sensitive, which I think is great now, but it was really challenging as a kid. Just felt a lot. I remember this one experience with my mom, bless her heart, where I was like, I want to go. I think at the time there was only like dietitians around, like maybe there was naturopaths, but I didn't know about them. And I was doing a school project and I wanted to do one on a dietitian. And I don't really know why. I think just health has always fascinated me.
Yeah.
And my mom turns to me and she's like, well, you'll have to be really good at science to do that or something. And I just like, I never went after that. And I still like remember that to this day, that why didn't I just go for it? But
yeah,
it's kind of like a pivotal in my journey. And then as a young teenager, so like a 16-year-old, I considered myself overweight and signed myself up. Me and my best friend signed ourselves up for Jenny Craig and didn't stop dieting for, God, a decade, more than a decade after that.
Yep.
Had an eating disorder for a long time. I just like my relationship to food and my body have been really severed for as long as I can remember. And it wasn't until even just a few years ago. I mean, again, like I was saying about growth and learning, it's like it's so linear, but like it wasn't even until like the last few years or even COVID that I like have really felt more grounded in my body and felt okay.
Yeah.
And like my relationship to food, like the things I just said, you know, that wasn't me before, you know, I haven't always been that way. It just like took being in pain a lot, both emotionally and physically to help heal. Like eating disorders are freaking challenging, you know. I don't know if either of you have experienced that before.
I have, for sure.
Yeah. And it's like one of those things I remember saying to my partner, I'm like, you're addicted in a sense, and you can't cut food out of your life. You know? It's not like you're addicted to drugs or alcohol and you can just be like, okay, I can't have that anymore. So, right? And it's so frustrating because I obviously didn't want to have this disorder, but like every day I got to get up and eat and like face my demons. And so I think, so then, coming into like kombucha, like I think my gut was just like so depleted. You know, I'd like been dieting for most of my life. I like didn't like the way I looked, didn't feel safe in my skin, didn't trust food or my body. So my body was just like, like freaking out. And then I had to turn the script, change the pace, and like be like, okay, let's quit the stressful job. Let's do something a little bit more rewarding in a beautiful community. And then like eat better foods, be more mindful of what I'm eating. And then like we go back this way. So.
Well, and the whole, like, and you said this already before about what did you say about your gut is not everything? Well, but okay, you said something before, but then you didn't maybe mention the connection between the mind and the gut. And that, you know, everything that you're talking about with, you know, eating disorders and really like all anxiety disorders. I mean, it's such a mind, it's such a in the mind, and especially with eating disorders. I mean, obviously there's a huge component of the connection, and now we know scientifically that it's true. There's a huge connection between the gut and the brain. So for you to fix one component of it, I would almost assume, did your mind start to almost heal as well, or did you feel the change?
Yeah. I didn't think that would ever happen for me, that I'd feel kind of a good base, you know, like I always felt like just a little bit sad. And I mean, again, I'm quite a sensitive person, so I pick up a lot from my outside surroundings. So I recognize that some of those aren't my feelings, but healing that relationship, the gut brain relationship has really allowed me to feel happier or more consistently.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, for sure. And you're right. I mean, they say that your gut's your first brain or your second brain, right? And that's the thing, because the gut-mind connection makes all the difference in what you do. And as you were kind of clarifying about eating disorders, I mean, I was an obese youth and dropped my weight before I went through adolescence, but it was definitely like kind of in between because I was maturing. And even so to this day, I criticize myself. Even this morning, I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and looked at my belly that used to carry my weight. And I keep reminding myself, yeah, you have like maybe a couple pounds of fat on you, but you know what? Like that's healthy. It's people have said like that's a healer's body. Like that's those are stretch marks. That's a wound, but like that's a victory scar. Like it's nothing wrong. It's healthy to have a little bit of fat on your body. If you eat healthy and you're able to be active but not kill yourself trying to be healthy, then that is good enough. And just remembering to set these standards for your own lifestyle. Because I find a lot of people, and I'm not criticizing people that do it authentically, but go to the gym 6 days a week, even 5 days a week, that have a muscle building plan and do arms on Tuesdays and back on Thursdays or legs on Wednesday. And that's great. Like that's great if that's what you want to do. But for me, I don't stress out about that because it's not for my lifestyle. I don't need that for me to function better in my life. But if I eat healthy, I walk a lot every day, I stretch every day, I breathe every day, then that works for my lifestyle. Even if the person on the left might say, hey, well, you're not doing enough for your health. You're not going to have good bone density when you become a 40-year-old. You're not going to have a good heart rate when you become a 50-year-old. None of us know that. So the same thing with you being that about I'm sensitive to other people's feelings, even if they're not my own. Do what works for you, and as long as you're being as healthy as you can be for your own health and what your standard is, like for what your body needs, I think that's what matters the most for any human being, right?
Oh my God. And every body is different. Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Like, because, you know, you think about, and you said, Kristin, a little while back about a raw food diet and how that wasn't great for your body. Some people it's okay, some people it's not. Like, just because it's healthy, quote unquote, like it's in that healthy category, doesn't mean it's healthy for you. And so, you know, I think people have a really hard time deciphering what is healthy for one person versus another. Like, okay, veganism, being a vegan, that's healthy. If you eat any, like there's people judging, well, then you're not healthy. Then I've heard of people that are so iron depleted, or they've been eating vegan their whole lives, they're actually sick. And once they introduced, you know, clean, grass-fed, whatever it was, a little bit of red meat into their diet, they just, all of a sudden, their body just started working more optimally than it was prior to. So, I mean...
Yeah, we have a real sickness in our society where we just like put all of our power into the people who call themselves experts. And we're in quite an epidemic now where the internet, anyone can be an expert, you know, and I'd say, yeah, when it comes to your body, like I've tried everything, gluten-free, vegan, keto, like paleo, everything, like low carb, low cal, low fat. You know, and like what you were saying, Hero, it's like, how do you feel with like your lifestyle? Like really, like I think, you know, what I do actually, like if I were alone on the planet, I like the way I eat now. I like the way I work out now. I do what feels good.
Right. Exactly. Because again, there are people that are and this is not really the point of this dialogue, but there are people that are so-called skinny. They have a slender frame, they have a thin bone structure. That's just how they were genetically born. And people always get jealous of those people. But if those people aren't even healthy, I mean, then all their body might be fat, you know, like skinny fat. So like, look at the fat composition in the body and how much of it's healthy fat, or how much of it's actually affecting the vital organs that give you the permission to live, right? I mean, there's so many things.
They might be dealing with severe depression or anxiety, like other mental.
That's my point. Yeah, exactly. We just don't know what people are living with.
No, you don't. No. We're so quick to judge people based on their physiology, and you know, especially much more with, again, we bring this back almost every episode to social media, but
that's our generation though.
Well, it's not only that, but with the pandemic now too, that's where everybody's living. That's where most people are living in their social needs, and their businesses are living there. And, you know, this podcast is living there. I mean, it's one of those things, you know, but as we start to, I was like, what time is it? I can't believe it's almost noon. As we start kind of, we've been so many places in this episode. And, I guess, you know, as we start to wrap things up, and thank you for sharing those intimate details about yourself, because we know, and it's interesting because it always kind of tends to come out near the end of an episode. We find, you know, we get kind of more comfortable with each other, but we know that those are going to help, or it's going to help somebody. If it's one person, doesn't matter. Like we appreciate these conversations are had. So thank you for that. What would you like to plug? I mean, you kind of already talked about what's happening with your business, but how can people can support you right now?
Well, we have some very exciting news coming up this week that I guess if this is going to be posted after March 9th. Yeah.
What's today?
It's the 9th.
It's the 9th. It'll be posted within the next 5 to 7 days.
I would say a couple days.
Yeah, knowing Rachel in the next 2 days. Yeah.
So we're really excited because we put in a bid this year. So each year, all the kombucha brewers can come in and bid to be on tap at all the beaches.
Whoa.
And we got it.
Yay! Yay!
Yeah. So like first beach, second beach, Jericho, and like I think there's 19 locations. Like I didn't even know. Like I think it's golf courses, and I'll be posting on social media for sure. But if you could go there and buy Booch when the parks open up, that would really.
Oh my God, 100%. That is a huge accomplishment. Congratulations to you and Liam. Wow.
Holy crap.
She's like, it's fucking happening.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah.
You're like, how much time do I have to get everything ready?
And then move as well. I'm like, oh my God, might as well just be pregnant. And then like, really, no, kidding.
Yeah. I don't know. That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to check out so that I can refresh my memory and my taste buds and my gut of Hoochy Booch. So I'll have to check out the Kelowna location.
Yeah.
Again, what is it called again? Chicken? No.
Chickpeas.
Chickpeas. Okay. I eat chickpeas like every day. So that'll be easy to remember.
Yeah, zero waste store. So I think there's only one, maybe two there. So yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. And that's great. And then also, I think you already explained this. You don't have an e-store, right? Like people can't like ship. Can people buy off your website and you would ship to them?
Right. They can only from Vancouver to Langley though. So we're not.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry.
Yes.
We're not hand delivering quite yet. Which is too expensive to pop in the mail. Or heavy, I should say, and expensive because it's heavy. But yeah, we do home deliveries once a week.
Yep.
If you order in by Wednesday at noon for delivery Friday or Saturday.
Yes.
Awesome.
That's amazing. And one of the funny things we like to ask, and I love how it's kind of on the theme of kombucha, so this might be even more of a heated question, or of a fermented question, I should say. If you could be any kind of juice, and you can also say any kind of kombucha, what would you be and why?
Like flavor-wise?
Yes.
What is my personal? Any kind? Oh my God.
Any kind.
Oh, too many options. If I could be, and so like personally, oh my God. Okay. For juice, I would be like celery, kale, cucumber, pineapple, lemon, ginger, green juice. Yeah. Maybe
yes.
And God, kombucha. Oh my God. I would be, because I'm working on something, perhaps, I don't know if it's just for me or for the world yet, but I'm creating like women's herbs blends.
Oh.
So to help us with our cycles.
Yes.
Hello, right?
Yes. Yes.
So like a raspberry leaf, nettle, dandelion. Yeah. Blend. Yeah.
Oh, I want that. I never even have a cycle.
Okay, well men can have it too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great idea. Great idea.
Okay, cool.
I know a lot of women, and especially because it's just becoming more of a topic that women are I guess feeling more comfortable talking about, but cycles about hormone imbalances, about the different ages we get to and how our bodies change, like all kinds of things to do with women. It's not a taboo subject anymore. I mean, kind of, to be honest, it still feels like it is sometimes.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, and you're like, why? Why? We bleed. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, pretty cool.
Yeah.
There was a joke I said to Hero on one of our episodes. It's just the two of us. And I said, why is that the women, I'm able to speak for myself, I don't do this necessarily anymore, but when I buy tampons, now I don't ask for a bag and I'm like, fuck, I don't give a shit. Like, who knows? I'm bleeding right now. Like I'll take it on a silver platter. Like, I don't care.
Yes, exactly.
Sound the alarms.
Yeah.
But women, I think there still is this thing that we still feel like we need to hide our products in a paper bag so no one can see. Like, it's just this thing. So anyway, that's a great idea. I would be, I know a lot of people that would
be on that. Yeah. And I think in terms of like another product would be actually making the tea. So someone like yourself, Rachel, could get the tea and just drink the tea. You don't have to get the booch.
Right.
I can at least ship it across the world.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. And then again, I don't know if this would be something that people, and again, this is might be down the road when you have the horsepower kind of, but or the booch power. But do you think you would have like create your own kombucha? Like you might have stuff that's set up, and assembled, but then people can kind of add a little bit of this, add a little bit of that, and then they create their own custom. And it might cost a premium, but they can kind of create their own from existing Hoochy Booch concoctions.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It's like Build-A-Bear, Build-A-Booch.
Yeah, Build-A-Booch. Yeah. Hoochy Booch.
Build-A-Booch. I love that. Yeah. That would be a good like birthday outing, you know.
Like wedding or like bar mitzvahs.
And like, yeah, here's your teas and here's your whatevers or bar mitzvahs, yes.
A booch buffet.
Oh my God, yeah, I love it.
Okay, here goes Hero. The caffeine's hit him finally at the end of the episode.
It has. It really has. I wish I was drinking Hoochy Booch right now, but I'm not. But I'm going to.
Yeah.
Now I
totally will.
Oh my goodness.
And I gotta say this, and Rachel, you're gonna slap me, but it's just gonna be really good candid. I mean, if you're talking about women's cycles, like imagine having and she's already like, Hero, having a kombucha for women that go through hot flashes to help it make it easier for them to regulate their temperature and their sweating and whatever else the chemical imbalance might cause.
It's not a joke, Hero. You're such a dick. Sorry.
What? I think that's great. I don't get it.
There's merit to that. That's why I didn't even laugh. There's merit to that.
Here, this will make you cringe. How about a tea for women to create more cervical fluid?
Okay, and the reason why there's a backstory to that, Kristin, and he's brought it's just the backstory is that the first time we ever met each other, and I have to again say the first time, and
it was the very first time.
Hot, and he asked me if I was having a hot flash, so that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a little rude, just a little rude, but
yeah. You're basically telling her she's like 25 years older than she is.
Which I had no clue, because like every gay man that never had sex or dated a woman thought that if their mother has a hot flash, that all women have hot flashes regardless of their age.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we get hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes, like any other human, but
exactly.
I almost have like a wee bit of PTSD from that. So every time he mentions hot flash, I'm like,
don't. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yet.
I had to go there. I just had to. It wouldn't be getting juicy if it wasn't. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cervical fluid now, so that's pretty juicy.
That's really juicy, and again, and then I'm just gonna go on the rampage. Like there are women that will deliver their child, and they have like their placenta or whatever. I don't know, but like you could do anything you want with women's health, and that's actually a fair comment.
Yeah, it is without backstory. Yeah.
It is exactly.
Yeah,
but
anyway, a lot of stuff. So yeah,
I'm glad you're doing that.
Find out what you're going to come up with next, because it sounds like you've got a lot of, exciting things already happening, but you're kind of, I don't want to jinx it. It just sounds like you're on this really awesome wave right now. Yeah. So congratulations on everything.
Yes.
And we'll continue to watch you. We'll put all the information in the show notes and let you know when this comes out.
Yes.
And it's just so nice to meet you. So thank you.
Thank you for just being you.
Aw, you guys too. This was really fun. I feel super at ease. Yeah, you're just great people to chat with, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And then, so when is your new front going to be open?
We're hoping for June. So you have to submit your permits, then we have to build, and then we're hoping sometime in June. So pray to the stars for us.
Okay, we'll be praying. We'll be praying on tap.
Yeah. And I'm planning to share the whole process on Instagram, because I kind of want to see what we're getting into.
Amazing. Okay, thank you, Kristin, for taking the time. I know it took a while, but I just knew that I wanted to share your love and your light, and you did just that. So thank you so much for bringing yourself to the show.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Okay, bye.
Bye.